Drive home, and I am in the car, and with me here, oh, she's all the way over in the corner there, is catti-brie, my service dog. You can see she's got her vest on. She has her safety harness on there for being, and she's seeing people walk by outside, and excuse me, she doesn't like that evidently. So you're not really going to be able to see her much due to the angle of the camera and everything like that today. Eventually you'll be able to see her more on my drives home. I think that's the way we decided we were going to pronounce it, drives home. But yeah, so I just got her tested Saturday, and she passed her canine good citizenship test. I've been practicing on saying that word, citizenship. And so she passed that test, which means she got her vest. Now her vest, and you couldn't see it, I'm sure, but her vest actually said service dog in training. And there is a patch on there, big letters, service dog in training, what is it, no touch, no talk, no eye contact. And it's got those in big letters right on the side. Then the very top, on her back, it says, service dog in training, please do not distract. Now, no touch, no talk, and no eye contact. That, to me, is pretty self-explanatory, and my sunglasses are fogging up again. You know what, I'm just going to put them on top of my head. I don't really need them right now anyway. The sun's not out that much. It's not in my eyes. But that to me seems pretty self-explanatory. If you see no touch, well, that probably means you shouldn't touch. No talk, it probably means you shouldn't talk to the dog. Now it says no eye contact. That one's a little harder. And now I'm not gonna say that means no eye contact whatsoever. Like don't look at the dog. All right, but it's still fairly self-explanatory. Don't sit there staring at the dog's eyes, all right? And then, the top one says, do not distract. Now, I have found, now there's a reason for this, and I'm going to get into this, but I have found that nearly everybody, adults anyway, nearly every single adult understands that you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to, well, they'll normally say, I know you're not supposed to pet them. All right, that's what they'll say. I know you're not supposed to pet them. That is almost immediately followed by a, but do you mind if I do? I know you're not supposed to pet him, but do you mind if I do? And, I'm going to do my best not to speak ill of anybody, all right? I really am. I'm going to try not to. But that happens almost all the time. And then there's those who just blatantly ignore it, walk up, and start petting the dog. Now, keep in mind, I have only had my dog in public for 2 days. Saturday, shortly, right around noon, she got her vest. Then I took her to church yesterday morning and yesterday evening. So Saturday, I immediately took her on like a 15-minute walk through Walmart. She did an amazing job. Then I took her to McDonald's, and again, she did an amazing job. Then I took her to a concert Saturday night where I was singing, and that was pretty funny. Long story short, she ended up on the platform with me, and she did a great job just laying down there next to me. She did awesome, and that's going to be her place from now on. But I've only had her out in public. This will be my third day having her out in public. And off the top of my head, I can think of 5 instances, just off the top of my head, without even trying, where adults, mind you, not kids, adults have come up and started petting her and talking to her, who's a good girl, that kind of thing, without even asking. And it's amazing to me that people are doing this. And I mean, it's obvious. It says right on her vest, no touch, no talk, no eye contact. And adults knowing the rules. Now that's just people who have come up without permission and said, and didn't say anything, just started petting my dog. It's 5 that I can think of off the top of my head. I can think of 3 other instances where someone has done that. I know you're not supposed to pet them, but may I pet your dog? And my response is, not while she's in her vest. But the idea is that when a dog is in their vest, they are at work. That is their uniform. They are working. When they are out of their vest, they can become a dog. They can run around. They can have fun. They can play with kids. But when they're in their vest, they are working. Now, what does that mean? That means that their entire attention is to be focused on me. My dog, to her, I should be the only one that exists in the world when she has that vest on. Now, here's the thing. To do that, you have to train them. You have to train them that when they are in that vest, nobody else exists. And you do that by having everybody around you ignore the dog. No eye contact, no touch, no talking. So when someone walks up, now I'm going to make, this is an extreme example, but it is a one-to-one correlation here. Let's say someone lost a leg. They've got a new prosthetic. They are learning to walk on this prosthetic, so while they're learning to walk on this prosthetic, they're using a cane. And someone walks up and kicks the cane out from under them. That's an extreme example, but that is the same thing you're doing when you walk up and you pet someone's service dog, especially without their permission. You are saying to them, I don't care about your disability. I don't care that your dog is in training. I will mess up your dog's training because I want to pet your dog. That's what you're saying. So keep that in mind. If you see a service animal, don't even ask to pet it. Just don't. Now, it might be slightly different if it is a full-fledged, fully trained service dog. They already know how things are. But even then, it'll set them back a little bit, and it'll take a few more days, probably is it, to train that out of them. But when they are in training, especially, don't mess with the dog. Show the dog that you don't exist by ignoring the dog. Because, again, otherwise you are ruining the training of that service dog. That service dog, again, is only supposed to know, when they've got that vest on, they're only supposed to know that their handler exists. Everyone else does not exist. And there's very good reason for that. And I may get into that here in a second, but only the handler is supposed to exist. And again, if somebody walks up and starts petting that dog while it's in that vest, that dog will never learn that only their handler exists in their world. They'll be distracted. Things like that. So here's why that's important. Let's say that I have a panic attack. Happens a lot. I have a panic attack, or I have an anxiety attack, very similar. My dog is supposed to catch that and help calm me down. But if my dog has been pet, has been played with, and is not paying attention to me, and I have a panic attack, it's not going to catch that I am having a panic attack or an anxiety attack. Or, for people who have seizures, It's not going to catch that because it's distracted. It's looking around. It's wanting to be with people. It's wanting to be played with. And so what you're doing, and again, this is taking it to the extreme, but this is a direct thing. What you're doing when you walk up and you pet a service dog in training, you're telling that person, I don't give a crap about your disability. I want to pet your dog. That's what you're saying. It's a huge insult. And people don't know they're doing this. I'm not saying they're doing this on purpose. But that's what they are in effect saying. I don't care about your disability. I want to pet your dog. And so yeah, again, just keep that in mind. If you see a service animal out there, especially one that is in training, don't even ask if you can pet it. Because then we get into a whole other situation. See, I don't like to be the bad guy. I've been, here lately, and ever since she got her service vest, I've been doing great. When people ask, can I pet your dog? My response is, not while she's in her vest. Okay, I've been doing great about that, but I don't like to be the bad guy. But when someone asks me, I can do one of two things. I can either be the bad guy and say no, or I can avoid being the bad guy, say yes, and hurt my dog's training. So don't even ask. Don't even ask. I mean, you would not ask a guy in a wheelchair if he could get up and you use his wheelchair for a while. You wouldn't do that. You would not ask a person on crutches, hey, can you walk around for a bit while I use your crutches? You wouldn't do that. You would not ask a blind guy, hey, let me see your cane. I want to see what this is like. No, you wouldn't do that. So don't do it with a dog. Another thing I've run into, and this is driving me nuts. Right? This is really driving me nuts. People with disabilities, no matter what the disability is, okay, in my case, it's a mental thing. People with disabilities, mental, physical, it doesn't matter. They all want to be treated like normal people. They don't want people doting over them or, they just want to be treated like normal people. When people see my dog, and again, I've had the dog 2 days. In 2 days, I have been asked 4 times what I have my dog for. I mean, people see me and they know it's a service dog, so they automatically know it's something mental because I have no obvious physical handicaps. I've got a slight one, but I don't consider that much of one most days, which is my knee. I've gone over that story, and so I do have a physical handicap, but it's nothing compared to other people's physical handicaps. So, and it's not a visible one anyway. A lot of times I don't even have a limp. It's only on certain days, or if I overdid it, something like that. So I don't have a physical handicap that they can see, so they automatically know that it is a mental thing. They should leave it at that. Don't ask me to start listing out my disabilities. That is rude. And again, I just want to be treated just like everybody else who has a disability. I want to be treated like a normal person. I mean, I've tried to be polite. When people ask me, I've just been saying, I came back from Afghanistan a little messed up and got a medical retirement from the Army. That's what I've been saying. Short story, nice and sweet. Hopefully they get the point. But one person didn't. He actually, so do you have PTSD? It's like, okay, you were already rude in the first place. How much more rude are you going to get before this is over? course, I did the polite thing, and I was just like, yeah, and I walked off. I did not want to talk about it. I walked off. But yeah, I mean, asking me, okay, why do you have the dog? Well, first off, again, just want to be treated like a normal person. Second of all, you don't want me listing the things that I've got the dog for. You're not really... Okay, I'm gonna say that a little bit nicer. Most of the time, people really are not interested in what you're going through or how it's affecting your life when they ask, why do you have the dog? They just want to sate their own curiosity and see if their guess was correct. Now, that is very judgmental. I will give you that. That is very judgmental, but I have found that to be the case. And, of course, then it's always followed up with, oh, my insert relative here had that. Almost always. But yeah, so you don't want me listing off why I have my... You know what? I don't even remember all of the things I was diagnosed with. I remember the big ones. Of course, obviously, there's the PTSD, the post-traumatic stress disorder. That's the first and foremost, the big one. I was diagnosed with anxiety disorder. Something that they called, and I don't know if this is a widespread thing, or I don't know, I hadn't heard of it before. And hopefully it's not supposed to be a permanent thing, I don't think. But we'll you know, I don't know. It's indistinguishable from the rest of my stuff is the thing, but they called it social adjustment disorder, I believe is what they called it. Social adjustment disorder. That's just sad. Hopefully you got that. Yeah, so that overlaps. You know, that's one of those that you can say, well, I've got PTSD and anxiety. You don't need to tack that one on. But yeah, so post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, social adjustment disorder, and another thing that cracks me up, mild TBI. Mild traumatic brain injury. That to me sounded... How can it be mild and traumatic at the same time? That doesn't make sense to me. Now, there was a medic that explained it to me. They said, oh, well, that's because traumatic doesn't necessarily mean enormous or horrific. It just means that there was trauma. And I said, well, that makes sense. But still, to me, mild traumatic doesn't go together. So that's just me, though. We'll see. Anyway. But so, yeah, all those things. You don't want me to list those off. Why do you have your dog? Well, I got this, and I got this, and I got this, and I got this. No. So, yeah, don't ask. Don't ask, you know. The first time you see a blind guy walking down the street or walking through a hallway, your first question to him is not, hey, how'd you get blind? You know, you don't do that. You might ask eventually as you get to know them. You know, you talk to them for a little bit and you start feeling that they are open to, and you might ask, well, you know, hey, how did you lose your eyes? Or, you know, were you born that way? Or, you know, something like that. You know, you don't just see a blind guy, hey, how'd you get blind? Or, you know, an amputee. When you see an amputee, the first thing you ask is not, how'd you lose your arm? Or how'd you lose your leg? That's not what you do, so don't do it with a mental disorder. You know, there's that one's really been driving me nuts. Again, I've only had my dog out for 2 days, and again, 4 times I've been asked, why do you have your dog? And so yeah, and you know, now a business is not even allowed to ask that. They're not. You know, I don't think the law is written so as a normal person can't ask. You know, so, you know, just a regular person you see in the street who's not affiliated with the business. I don't think the law is written in such a way that, excuse me, in such a way that they can't ask. But a business can't even ask that. They're not allowed to ask, what is your dog for? Like I was saying before, the only thing that they are allowed to ask is that a service dog? That's the only thing they're allowed to ask. So, but anyway, on to some good things. For the most part, people have been very receptive to seeing her. And with the exception of those few, and I don't want to paint the entire human population in a bad light by these few people, because for the most part, people have been very good with her. They've been doing well, but the issue is, one person's all it takes to ruin a full day's worth of training. They walk up, they pet her, everything that we just went is out the window. Start over tomorrow. And you can. I don't know if you heard her whining there. As we slow down and she thinks we're getting out, she whines a little bit. I don't know why she does that. Or, she might be sensing that I'm upset right now, because I am. I'm not in panic attack mode, but I'm a little upset after talking about those people who are asking about disabilities and petting the dog and things like that. But, like I said, for the most part, people have been very good. Especially people with children. I've found, it's only been adults that are petting her with that. And this is another thing. I'm going to throw this out there right now. If you stick your hand out to the dog and let the dog sniff your hand, that's just as bad as petting the dog. All right, that's just as bad, because it's distracting them and making them pay attention to somebody who is not me. And I think people think that's okay because, I'm not petting the dog. It's like the kid sister and the kid brother. I'm not touching you. You got your finger 2 inches away from him. I'm not touching you. That's exactly what it is. It's the petulant child trying to get away with what they can get away with. And don't do that either. But anyway, back to the good stuff. And like I said, most people have been pretty good. People with kids, the kids usually ask their parents, "Can I pet the dog?" And the parents will then say, "No, they're working." That's the typical response. And that's a good response. That is a very good response. Kudos to them for saying that, because that's exactly right. That you can't pet her because she's working. So, that's a great response. And again, kudos to those parents who have said that. I doubt any of them will ever watch this video. But kudos to them for that. I appreciate that. They're doing a good job in that department. I can't speak to them. Their kids may be spoiled brats for all I know. But in that area, they are doing a good job. And yeah. But yes, again, people, for the most part, people have been very good with her. When I was at McDonald's for about an hour, she was laying there on the floor next to me, and this real sweet old lady. Got a couple more yawns. I woke up too early. But this sweet old lady, I don't know, looking at her, I would guess she's in her 80s. Got to be in her 80s. And she did a good job by not talking to catti-brie or paying her anything. But she is one of the ones that asked me why I had her. She started talking to me, and she made a hilarious statement. She said, "My son has a service dog. His name is something. Do you know him?" That made me laugh. Yes, everybody with a service dog knows every single other person with a service dog. But, she was nice. She was talking to me. Other than that, I was basically ignored, and so was she. When I took her through Walmart, Wow, I need to drink my coffee. It's actually propping up the phone right now, though. But when I was going through Walmart, no one tried to pet her. The most attention she got was people going, "Aw, puppy," and that was it. I scared one woman because she did not realize I was standing behind her with a dog. But that's good. That's good. Not that she got scared, but that she didn't know I had a dog with me until she actually saw the dog. That's the goal, is that people they don't realize there's a dog there until they actually see the dog. And so anyway, I was standing behind her with the dog and her little girl. Little girl in the cart, probably 2 years old, just goes, "Puppy," and the mom turns around, sees it, and jumps. That was pretty funny. But yeah. So anyway, so that was. What is that noise, catti-brie? What is that? A whine? Is that a whine, huh? Yeah, we're about to stop. She sounds like she might have a dry mouth. I've got a water bowl. I had to leave shortly after feeding her, so she might need to go to the bathroom as well. But anyway, I am actually pulling into the parking lot right now as we speak. Thank you for watching if you've made it this far. As always, if you've liked what you've seen here, yes, we're gonna stop right now, catti-brie. I tell you what I'm gonna do. Before I kill this, I'm gonna get catti-brie back here on camera here. Catti-brie, can you say hi to the camera? Look. Can you say hi to the camera? There you go. Alright, if you've liked what you've seen here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I'm Sapper Woody, and this is catti-brie, and it's been fun.